It is 138 days till the man burns, and today we're talking about how to do Burning Man if you're coming from abroad, because it's a little more complicated. First up, obviously, you want a ticket to Burning Man. If you don't have a ticket, probably not going to get into Burning Man. It's not the 90s. You can't just bunk a fence. They've grown wise to these kind of tricks. So it's kind of not worth turning up if you don't have a ticket. You also want to check whether or not you need a visa. Not everyone from all countries is able to just fly into America and be like, hey, I'm here. Some of you will need a visa. And it's something you kind of want to get on as soon as you can, because they can take quite a while to get through. Sometimes you have to go to interviews and things like that to actually get the visa. You don't want to end up 2 weeks before the trip trying to get your hands on a visa and paying ridiculous fees to get it fast-tracked. You will definitely want travel insurance that has medical cover on it. You only have to go and look at people's horror stories or injury stories to see kind of how dangerous Burning Man can be. And medical things are not cheap in America. You're talking about a lot of money. It's better to have travel insurance that's going to cover you, medical insurance, to make sure that whatever happens to you, if you break a leg, if you need a tetanus shock because you got scratched by some rebar, then you are going to be safe. One thing you do want to watch out for is a lot of travel and medical insurance. It does not cover you if you are drunk. And they also tend to have a stupidity clause as well. So, if you're trying to claim and you're like, I was drunk and I decided to climb up the scaffolding and I fell off and I broke my leg, there is a possibility that your insurance is not going to cover you for that because you were drunk and you did something stupid, like a drunk person. So make sure you read the terms really well and know what you are covered for and what you are not covered for. There's also been a rise in thefts at Burning Man as well, especially on burn night when, most people are not at their camps, they're at the burn. So you want to make sure that you're covered for any of the expensive items you're going to bring, and that, you follow anything that you need to follow. If you need to keep receipts for those things or whatever, make sure you have all the documentation you need to make a claim just in case it does happen to you. I know many people say, just don't bring your expensive stuff with you, don't bring your mobile phone and things like that. But it can be very difficult when you're coming from abroad. You don't have a house nearby where you can be like, I'll just leave my phone here while I go away for a week, because you're in another country. You probably need things like your phone. You might want to bring your camera. You'll obviously also need some way to actually get to America, and so probably flights are going to be handy. I would suggest flying into either San Francisco or Reno. There are lots of direct flights to San Francisco, and you'll probably need a connection to get to Reno. Reno is the closest to Burning Man, and, San Francisco is the second closest. But San Francisco is much bigger than Reno, so you're going to be able to get a lot of supplies there. Reno is kind of the last stop on the way to Burning Man, so many burners are going to be stopping there, and just like a plague of locusts on the Walmart, so it will be much harder to get all of the things that you want from Reno, probably. The Burner Express bus also goes from both San Francisco and Reno. Reno is obviously closer, so it's a few hours, and San Francisco is 6 to 8 hours, I think. I've made a Google map of kind of where everything is, where the Burner Express is, where all these places are. So if you want to get a visual, I'll link that in the description box below. The only thing to bear in mind with San Francisco is that there is a weight limit. They don't allow you to buy extra weight allowance because so many people go from San Francisco. There's just not enough space for them to do that. But from Reno, you can pay extra to take along some extra luggage. But in both places, you can take a bike. And check on the Burning Man website about the Burner Express, luggage allowances, things like that, because, it may change from year to year. If you can't go on the Burner Express or don't want to or whatever, you're not getting the Burner Express, then there are a lot of people that carpool to Burning Man. So, start putting some feelers out there, see if you can find some nice people that maybe have some space in their car for you. I have heard that a lot of people have success with hitchhiking to Burning Man. Just hold up a sign with a picture of the man on it and someone will pick you up while they're on their way. But it does seem a little bit risky. You obviously need something to get the things you're taking from your home country to America in. I would suggest a big traveler's hiking style backpack, because there's lots of pockets and compartments that you can put things in, sleeping bags or tents or whatever you're bringing from home. If you don't have one, no big deal, bring a suitcase. It's not impossible to do Burning Man with a suitcase. It's just, a little bit inconvenient. I know a lot of you, like me, are trying to kind of do it as cheaply as you can, so I wouldn't waste money on buying a specific, hiking backpack or something just for Burning Man. But, if you have a friend that has one, maybe they'll let you borrow it. Maybe warn them that you're taking it to Burning Man, where it's going to get really dusty and never quite be the same again. So let's talk about what gear to bring because, airline baggage fees are crazy with some airlines and most of you are going to want to stick to the weight limit that you're allowed. And it does depend on what you already have at home. If you already have camping gear like tents and sleeping bags and stuff, you might want to bring those along as long as it's not going to push you over the weight allowance. The way I think of it is, am I going to be able to buy that thing that's pushing me over my weight allowance when I'm in America for cheaper than it will cost me for the extra weight allowance? So if it's going to be £40 for extra weight allowance to bring a tent with me, and I can buy a tent when I'm there for like £20, it makes more sense to just buy a tent when I get there. If you do already have things like head torches, hiking or walking boots, things that are not going to be so easy to get once you're there or are going to be expensive to buy, especially if you are flying like straight into Reno or if you are arriving kind of last minute and need to get there and jump on your ride, then bring those things with you because I would not want to do Burning Man without a head torch. Obviously anything like food, water, all of that kind of stuff, get it when you're there. Don't waste your allowance when you can just buy it much cheaper when you're there. The Google map that I've made has got lots of things on it like where to get your water, where to get bicycles, camping supplies, Walmart to stock up on food. So you can get a lot of stuff when you get there. And many of the shops have websites that you can look on to see kind of the price range of the things that you want to get once you get there. I know that food and water is obviously a big thing that people need for Burning Man. So there's lots of places in Reno where you can get water and they sell the containers as well. And it's much cheaper than just buying a ton of plastic bottles. So that's worth checking out. The places are on the map as well and there is a list on the Burning Man website, links in the description. For food, it's really going to depend on your setup, whether you're going to be able to cook while you're at Burning Man, things like that. But I would just go for non-perishable items. It's hard to make anything that is perishable survive for more than about 2 days, and it's just a pain to have to kind of be tied to the ice thing where you have to keep going and getting ice to keep all your stuff fresh. Obviously you're not going to be able to prepare food in advance, so I would just go for things that are not perishable. Cereal bars, pickles / gherkins, olives, tins of tuna. You can get meals in a can now. Probably not tasty, but still. Most people do want bicycles for Burning Man, so there are plenty of places in Reno where you can pick up bicycles, you can rent them, you can buy them. You could go on Craigslist and try and get one, which is not quite as convenient for people that are flying in, obviously, because you need to arrange to actually meet these people and pick up the bikes in a strange foreign land. So it can be a bit difficult. The bikes that you can get from the bike shops that they list on the Burning Man website, they tend to be bikes that are designed for Burning Man. They've got the fat tires. They usually have extras, they'll put a fat seat on it for you, maybe a basket. Some of the places will put lights on them for you. It's a really good option and they're not hugely expensive. Some of these places also deliver the bikes to the players, so you are not worrying about how you are going to transport your bike from Reno to Black Rock City. And these places tend to sell out really quickly. It's not something you want to wait until a week before you're going to deal with. It's something, I think they sell out usually about a month before Burning Man. So if you want a bike, get on it ASAP as soon as you get your ticket. Another problem is what to do with all the stuff that you buy when you're in America or things that you just don't want to take home with you. Especially, big items like tents and sleeping bags and things like that. And the best thing to do is to find someone to gift it to. A lot of camps are going to be more than happy to take a tent or a sleeping bag or some useful camping thing off of your hands. But make sure you ask them first because, not everyone wants to do that. Theme camps are a great place to check as well because many theme camps have a storage unit in Reno where they keep all of their Burning Man stuff or, storage somewhere where they're keeping all of that stuff. Whatever you can't gift, consider giving it to Goodwill. It might be tricky because obviously, all the player dust and stuff, they might want it to be washed or something first. I don't know how Goodwill works in America, but you could try Goodwill. If no one will take this stuff off your hands, everyone's just no, we don't want it. Goodwill's no, we don't want it. Then it's your responsibility to dispose of it properly. Don't just abandon these things in places. Find a place where it is okay to dispose of it. I think the biggest pain about coming from abroad is it's very difficult if you want to build, huge, beautiful costumes because you just don't have a way to transport them where they're not at risk of getting damaged or where they'll fit. So you just kind of have to suck it up, maybe make some small wings, small headpieces. So a question I see popping up quite a lot is from people that didn't manage to get a ticket to Burning Man in the main sale, and they're hoping to get a ticket and wondering if they should get their flight tickets. In all honesty, it's a tricky one because it's entirely up to you and, what kind of funds and resources you have. I personally wouldn't buy my flight ticket unless I knew I had a ticket to Burning Man. It seems like quite a big risk. Even though many people do manage to get tickets after the main sale through Step or, getting them off someone else that isn't going to use them, it just seems incredibly risky. You at least want to know, what the cancellation policy is on the ticket, like how much would you get back if you cancelled it? Or alternatively, have something else planned so that if you don't end up getting a Burning Man ticket, you can still just go and have a holiday. So that's it, guys. I hope this was helpful. If any of you have any questions or comments or suggestions and stuff, let me know in the comments section below. And as always, if you see me at Burning Man this year, then feel free to come and say hi. Bye.